Everybody in the world, at least in the Western world, has bromide toxicity to at least some degree. If you actually Google the bromide toxicity symptoms, you will notice that pretty much everybody has at least something from that list. And oftentimes we want to blame stress or allergies or something on the symptoms, but it might just be bromide toxicity. So let's talk about that. It's very, very important, and it is a life-changing thing once you recognize it, understand it, and start to fix it. And I'm actually going to talk today specifically about proof that I have now that it's a real thing, okay? So let's talk about what bromide is to begin with. Bromide is a toxic element that is in our environment, and it's also in our foods. You get this from glue, plastics, cushions, like the ones that I'm sitting on now. The cushions in shoes too, because it gets into your feet. Very important, polyester clothing and all other plastics. It's also in inorganic food, especially refined breads and baked goods. So if you eat any of those things, or if you engage with any of those things on a daily basis, which we all do to some degree, then you're being exposed to bromide, which leads to some pretty severe side effects. So there are ways to get rid of it. The main way is something we've already talked about, actually. We've already discussed this before, but I wanted to give you guys some evidence now that I have, that just happened, that proves that this isn't just something that's in your head. It's a real thing. So let's begin with the subject of bromide itself, right? We've already talked about how you get it. What we haven't discussed is how to get rid of it. Because you want to. If you actually go Google the side effects of bromide toxicity, you will see things like anxiety and depression. You'll see things like brain fog. You'll see all kinds of symptoms. Crazy symptoms you'd never think are from bromide toxicity. So we need to get rid of it. And again, we've already discussed this in a previous video, but I wanted to kind of draw it all together and then share with you guys an experience that I had that proves that this is a real thing. This isn't just in the head. So, for one, we as a society have really gotten away from salt, which is not a bad thing for you. Salt is not bad. It's not going to lead to high blood pressure as long as you're taking real salt. You see, table salt that's refined and that's bleached, that's not real salt, and that will lead to high blood pressure. But real salt, unrefined, all natural sea salt from the ocean or old oceans, that's real salt. And that stuff is amazing for you. It actually helps with your blood pressure. And it is the key factor in detox, specifically bromide detox. You'll also, when you do this, you'll also detox from things like fluoride, which is also a toxic chemical. You get that sometimes in your water sources, which is just insane. And you get it in like toothpaste and stuff, which there's no evidence that proves that fluoride helps with dental health. In fact, my wife and I stopped using fluoridated toothpaste years ago, and our teeth are just as good, if not better than they were. So fluoride is another one of those elements like bromide that are toxic and that have side effects and that accumulate in your body. So what you do, what's very important to get rid of it, is unrefined sea salt. When you take unrefined sea salt, the chlorine or the chloride in that will bind to the bromide and take it out. That's the clean out process, unrefined sea salt. And the detox symptoms are kind of rough sometimes. So just be prepared. Whatever symptoms you're having because of bromide toxicity will get worse before they get better during the detox. But it's only usually for a couple of days that it gets worse. For me, it was my voice. My thyroid was in pain. I thought it was my voice, but it turned out it was my thyroid. Your sleep can be affected, by the way. So my sleep got worse, and then it got way better. So that was nice. So your body excretes it with the chloride, and this is usually through the urine. So if you actually go and you Google bromide, just the image of bromide, you will see it's a brown. Sometimes if it's diluted, it's yellow, somewhere in between brown and yellow. That's the color of this element. It's usually in a liquid form. So when you start taking unrefined sea salt, you will see a change in the color of your urine to a darker color, and sometimes cloudy, depending on how toxic you are. Most of us are very toxic. So it comes out of your urine, but it also comes out of your skin. And so you might notice, my wife and I definitely noticed this, an increase in our body odor. Because bromide comes from the Greek word bromos, which means odor. And so you might smell worse, but then you start to smell better, which is the stage that I'm at, finally. I smell better than I did before. Took a while, though. So it comes out of your skin and your urine and probably other ways, too. Now, what's not as important, but still extremely important, is iodine. So what you do is you take the sea salt, it removes the bromide and the fluoride and whatever other things is in the way, and then the iodine that you take takes its place. Because if you don't take the salt, the iodine can't get where it's trying to go. The salt opens the door, the iodine goes in, fills in the gap. So when the iodine fills in the gap, all of a sudden you have an increase in activity in whatever structure that is. Generally, it's the thyroid, but there are other things that use a lot of iodine. And when your thyroid finally gets iodine for the first time, because most Americans don't take any iodine at all. You might if you take a ocean fish, like directly from the ocean, or sea kelp. But most of us don't have that kind of stuff. We just don't. So we don't have iodine in our systems. You don't really get it from the soil. So you start to take the iodine, it gets into the places it wants to go, and all of a sudden you start to sleep better. You start thinking clearer. You have more energy. Your metabolism increases, which helps you lose weight. It's just overall an amazing thing. Plus, you don't have those side effects from the toxicity. So you no longer have as bad of depression or anxiety. And of course, it can, if that's your main problem, it can get rid of all those things. It could take time. You know, the average detox, I think, takes between 3 and 6 months total. My wife and I have been at it for, I think, 3 months coming up soon, which is exciting. So I wanted to share with you guys this experience, right? So you take the salt, you take the iodine, you always take selenium with iodine. We've already talked about all that. And of course, I've already told you about the urine changes. I wanted to take an image of this next thing, but I decided it was kind of gross, so you just gotta take my word for it, okay? So the other day, 2 days ago, we were gonna change the sheets on the bed. And remember, we're living in an RV, so doing loads of laundry is difficult because our laundry machine is small and slow. So we try to do the sheets and clean them once a week. Sometimes it's every other week. Well, this time when we took the sheets off, we have a mattress pad underneath and then the mattress. On my side, not her side, on my side, kind of on the area where I would lay, especially my upper body, there was a yellow, kind of a brownish yellow stain. And we both looked, and it was upper body, not lower body. I know what you were thinking. We both looked at it. We've never seen that before. I'm 31 years old and I've never had an experience like that. Remember what I said earlier. Bromide is yellow when it's diluted. And it gets more brown the thicker, the more dense it gets, the more concentrated it gets. So if you're dealing with bromide coming out of the skin, it's going to end up in places that are white because the mattress pad is white. So there was an outline of my upper body in what we both believe was bromide. For the first time, a real physical symptom, or maybe not symptom, evidence of bromide detox. This was exciting. We were both like freaked a little, but also excited. Like, yeah, this is a real thing. This is amazing. And again, I was gonna take a picture for you guys. I decided, you know what? That's kind of personal. I'm not gonna show the picture of that. So I wanted to make this video to share that story with you, but also to give you guys a more complete image of bromide toxicity, the detox process, the importance of sea salt, unrefined sea salt, iodine, and selenium. So let me give you guys some dosage tips just so that you know what you're doing. It's very important. So the first thing I always recommend is make sure you're drinking plenty of water, because you can't detox without water. Just can't happen. And the quality of your water matters. So if you're drinking water from plastic bottles, like water bottles, you know, the crinkly water bottles you buy in packs of 24, well, that plastic has bromide in it. It's not the best option. Now, I realize some people, that's the best option they can get. I get that. My wife and I have a Berkey water filter. That's spelled Berkey. Berkey. The Berkey removes bromide, microplastics, and other stuff. And if you're using it on a fluoridated water system, there's actually special filters that can take out the fluoride, because you don't want to be drinking that stuff. I recommend you get a Berkey filter if you can. They're a little expensive up front, but it's worth it in the end. There's nothing better than to invest into your own health. So, drink plenty of water. I'm a full-grown man, and I try to drink at least half a gallon a day. And I actually drink about a gallon or more a day when I'm working in the cabin, because it's hot and I'm sweaty. And I crave salt when I'm sweaty, because your body wants the electrolytes. So I take a lot of salt lately, and it's probably a big part of why I'm detoxing. So, lots of water is step one. Step two is unrefined sea salts. My favorite is called Celtic sea salt. You can get that on Amazon. Or Redmond's Real Salt, which we get at our local H-E-B grocery store. Both of those are great. I attempt to get about 2 teaspoons a day. Start with 1 teaspoon a day and work your way up. And I actually put about a half a teaspoon in some water, a little bit of water, and just pound it down. It's the best way to get your salt, really. I mean, because you need a lot of it for when you're detoxing. Put it in your food. Obviously, you want to cook with that stuff. You don't want to cook with the refined table salt. That stuff is toxic. What it is they've taken out all of the trace minerals, and it's those trace minerals in the salt that make it stable, make it palatable for the body. You can actually absorb it when you have the trace minerals. When you don't, the body struggles, and it's bad for you. And then, of course, they bleach it to make it look pretty, and you're drinking bleach. I remember things being put out of proportion with bleach. Drinking bleach. Don't drink bleach. So don't eat that refined table salt. Unrefined sea salt, 100%. That's number 2. Number 3 is selenium. Very important. I actually have it right here. Check this out. So that's the sea salt, or that's the selenium. We take 2 of these tablets a day. There is a better form out there. Notice how this thing says yeast-free. The form that has yeast is actually better. It's in the mail. Should be here today, actually. 200 micrograms of selenium a day. And then iodine. So this is the one that we take. Lugotab from Hakala Labs. We get this on Amazon. Very good stuff. We started with 12.5 milligrams a day. After 6 weeks, we moved up to 2 of these a day, which is 25 milligrams. And then 6 weeks into that, we'll bump it up to 3 of these a day for 37.5 milligrams a day. And after 6 weeks, we'll probably go up to 50. And I think that's probably where we'll end up stopping. My wife takes these, actually. She prefers them. I take J. Crow's Lugol's solution. It's a liquid, and it's significantly cheaper in liquid form. 5 drops of this 2% solution is 12.5 milligrams. I take 10 drops a day because I'm at 25 milligrams right now. When we bump up to 37.5 milligrams of iodine, I will take 15 drops of this in water every day with selenium, with food. It's good stuff. There's other things that you can take that really help. Magnesium, very important. We've talked about magnesium before. Magnesium chloride is the cheapest and most practical form that you can get. There's other forms. I've ordered some others to try out. Vitamin C, 3,000 to 6,000 milligrams per day. And not like ascorbic acid. I'm talking about real vitamin C. You have to get food-based vitamin C for it to be really effective. And I feel like that covers it. Vitamin D from the sun. You know, go outside with shorts and t-shirt for 30 minutes to an hour a day. No sunscreen. And you'll get your vitamin D for the day. If you want to supplement, get D3K2. I don't have any with me. But if you take a vitamin D supplement, you need K2 to keep that calcium that you'll absorb out of your blood. So D3K2 is very important. All right, guys, I think we've covered the whole thing. This is a long video. Let me know if you actually saw the whole thing. And if you have any questions, post them down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and God bless.